Ma'am, we are good to go. Ma'am, we can start with the session.
Well, a very good morning to all the students, and on behalf of DY Patil College of Engineering and Educational Complex in Akurdi, we first would like to welcome Mr. Amit Singh, an alumni of Computer Engineering Department of DY Patil College of Engineering, Akurdi. So we have Amit with us. Welcome, Amit, on behalf of our campus once again, and thank you for accepting our invite during this time and helping us in guiding our students about latest industry trends. So thank you, Amit, for accepting the invite. Let us quickly understand a quick journey of Mr. Amit Singh. So Amit started his career with a startup in the year 2013. He moved to Globant and Qualys Securities till 2019, and now he's currently working with an IT industry Dream 11. During his career, Amit has been fortunate and he's worked in various domains like healthcare, ERP, insurance, security, and fantasy sports. He has also worked on various front end and back end technologies like Node.js, PHP, Angular, React, and Scala. So, taking not much of everybody's time, I once again thank Amit for accepting our invite for this webinar. And I humbly request and appeal to all my students who are here today for this webinar to take full advantage, understand how industry works through I would say through the alumni of this campus. Alumni, when I say alumni, they are students who have seen the life in the campus, probably the way you are currently looking at your career. So wishing all my students the very best. I request Amit to please begin with the presentation.
Yeah, thanks, ma'am, for the introduction. So, yeah, so what I'll do, I'll share my screen, and
Yes,
I have created one presentation
yes,
for this, and I'll keep this session very interactive. So whenever you have any questions, you guys have any questions, what you can do, you can post on the chat here. So I'll read it and try to answer it during the presentation only. Okay. So let me share my screen. Yeah. Can you guys see my screen?
yes, yes, Amit. Good to go.
Okay, sure. So my introduction. As ma'am has already given my introductions, I'll skip this slide, Um and we'll move to the skills that you should have in order to start working in the industry. So briefly, when companies come for interview, so they look for three skills. Like the skills you have can be grouped and categorized into three skills, like presentation, attitude, and skills. So in presentation, what they see your resume, your communication skills. Like in your resume, they uh, try to find out some things that are unique to you. Like it's not about what score you have achieved in the course, but they try to look something unique, like a project you have done, the technologies you have used, like more of hands-on experience they want to look into your resume and to try to find out. Then in communication skills, by communication skills, I don't mean that you have to have very fluent English and verbal skills. By communication skills, I mean whatever you are trying to explain, you should be able to explain it to a non-tech person also. So that is what one thing we see in the presentation skills. In attitude, we see eagerness to learn something new. Like everyone, there are suppose 400 students in a campus placement, sitting in a campus placement. Everyone has gone through the curriculum. Everyone has given the test. But what sets you apart is how eager are you to learn something new. So that should be part of your resume, and you should be able to tell that I have done these thing apart from my courses, which are part of college curriculum. Then projects you have done which are not part of your curriculum, apps you have built, courses you took, certifications. These things comes under attitude. In skills, there's problem solving. So when I'm setting the expectation for the companies, I'm talking about the IT companies. So they look at problem solving skills, data structure and algorithms, programming languages, programming paradigms, and design patterns. So I'll go in detail in each of these in next few slides. So these are the basic categories in which the skills are divided. So let's move to the presentation skills. So how can you improve your presentation skills? So like the first thing, when you go for an interview, the first thing which is your representative on your behalf is your resume. So in your resume, you have to add pointers which impress the guy, the interviewer who is looking at your resume. So when I say build your resume, it doesn't mean you have to build a resume, structure it very well. I mean that building your resume means to add pointers in your resume. So it takes months of work to add a single pointer. For example, if you want to add a project to your resume, you have to build your project, right? So it will take months to add a single pointer. So you have to start working on your resume from the start of your 4th year. So like from now. So you have to think about what things you should learn, what thing which can make your resume look better. So like apart from that, the good resume helps you drive the interview. So for example, suppose I have a resume in front of me to take an interview, and you have not mentioned some good projects, or you have not mentioned the technologies you have worked. You have only mentioned, right, your college scores, your percentage, and your BE project, only that. So I will ask you questions which I know. So if that is the resume, I as an interviewer, I will ask questions which I know about. So like I will start asking you about databases. I can start asking you about Java. I can start asking you about what I am good at. But if you build a good resume, you can add more projects. So you can drive the interview towards the things which you are good at, right? So so this will give you an added advantage that what questions an interviewer can ask. So the first thing to start preparing for the interview is to build a great resume. And to build a great resume, you have to work at least 6-7 months to add pointers to your resume. Then second thing is your communication skills. So communication skills, you have to practice the HR interview. So what happens is the questions which HR asks during the interview are very common for all the companies. Like questions like introduce yourself. This is a very basic question, but you have to practice those questions. So while introduction, you have to practice what you don't have. So by practice, I mean like you don't have to think during the interview what all you have done. You know yourself, you can practice those things, and you can So during the interview, you'll look confident, and so by practicing, you'll also make sure you'll not speak something which you have not done, right? So this is one thing. And then practice on the questions, practice for the questions, whatever is written on your resume. So for example, you have written certification on any database. So practice questions on those database. So you know what are the expected questions in that database. So in presentation, if you prepare these three things, you can cover almost everything, right? So the second skill is attitude. So it is the most important skill. So for example, when I come for an interview, I try to find out a person who I would like to work with. So I mean, I want to have a great camaraderie with the person I am going to hire. So that's why attitude is very important. So there are some to dos and not to dos while the interview is going on, and on the pointers which interviewer will be judging you on. So uh, like you have built. So suppose what students do during their fourth year project is they buy the project. So I will suggest that don't buy the project. It is easy way out, but if you build your project yourself, you'll know what are the challenges you faced. So during the interview, I will come to know if you have bought your project from somewhere else. So that will have a negative impact on your attitude, right? So that is one thing. Then read about new technologies and architectures. So I'm not sure what about the current curriculum, but the curriculum which I was part of was very outdated. So by outdated, what I meant is it was designed in 2006, but the technology is evolving every year. By the time we are having this session, there will be some new technology which is being created from scratch, and it is evolving day by day. Okay, so so it is impossible for college to have the curriculum updated that frequently. So it is your responsibility to read about new technologies and architectures. You can follow certain blogs. In the end of the presentation, I'll give you the links to some blogs you can follow, you can read, and you can read why these changes are happening. So when you read about these steps, these things, it will help you in building your project. So suppose you are working on a project, you'll come to know what is latest trend in the industry, and you can build your project on those architectures, right? It will help you a lot. Then the next step is creating a GitHub profile. So you can, so why does GitHub profile matter? So when we shortlist the resume, suppose someone have a GitHub profile. So we open that GitHub profile, we go through the code they have published there, and we find out what all you know. So we have a first impression. Looking at your GitHub profile, we have a first impression that you have done something, you have hands-on some technologies, you are better at coding, you have good coding conventions followed, these things. So since it is in public domain, I will suggest create a GitHub profile, and whatever you are practicing, like you are practicing a simple algorithm which is a part of your curriculum. So for example, merge sort, you are practicing merge sort. So what I'll do, I'll suggest that create a GitHub profile, write merge sort in different languages and publish it there. So that when you add it to your resume, the interviewer can go to that GitHub profile and look at what you want them to look, right? Things you don't have, you should not do. Never lie on your resume. So suppose I have noticed that what happens, sometimes people, in order to get the resume shortlisted, people add things they have never worked on. So like, for example, you have never worked on MongoDB, a database NoSQL, and you have added MongoDB as your technical skills. So what will happen when I go through your resume? so since I have also worked on MongoDB, I will ask you questions on MongoDB, and you will not be able to answer them. So never lie on your resume. Whatever you know, even if it is only 2 technologies, it is great, but you should tell the truth on your resume, so that when I ask you questions on those technologies, you'll never be in a place that you have to say that I don't remember, I have worked a lot, I mean long back. So these answers create a negative impact on your attitude. So I have already covered don't buy your final year project. It is very important. So when you go for an interview as a fresher, the only thing which we look at is your final year project. So apart from that, if you have added something else, that is also give you added advantage. But the must have in your resume is your final year project. So the next is skill. So ma'am, let me know if everyone here is from computers, IT.
Yes, Amit. So we have the students from computer science, IT, and ENTC.
Okay,
So I
okay.
would, since I would just like to request you if you can guide how ENTC students, they have their job prospects in IT
Yeah, yeah.
and how they can build their career there.
Okay. So
Thank you.
yeah, so for electronics and telecommunication students, so what is happening is there are very less core companies in electronics and telecommunication. So people are switching their domain from ENTC to IT. So for them, it is very important to give extra time. So for example, the computer and IT students have an added advantage that they have read about the basics of computer engineering, and they have in their courses, they have basic programming languages, programming paradigms. For our ENTC students, I feel that you have also have some amount of coding in your curriculum also, because you work on MATLAB and other coding languages. So what you can do, you can start from scratch and pick one language of your choice and start having start trying to improve your skills on these pointers. So for example, first is data structure and algorithm. So say once you start, you have to have a good knowledge of data structures and algorithm. So what you can do, you can have a basic, you can read books, understand data structure and algorithm from those books. So I'll give some links to the books after this presentation during our Q&A session, if you want. So you start reading about data structures and algorithm, and then practicing them. So for practicing, there are different platforms available on internet, like Geeks for Geeks, Daily Coding Problem. So what you can do, you can create your schedule, and in your schedule you can say that I'll at least code for one data structure and algorithm problem in a day. So at least one problem in a day. So what will happen? So suppose you have uh, at least 200 days left before your first interview, you would have solved 200 problems. So it will give you advantage, because what I feel is, any question on data structures and algorithm can be derived from maximum 25 different type of problems. So if you have practice for those 25 problems in 4 different way, so you have 100 problems solved, but you can answer 2000 problems based on them. So I'll highly recommend that you solve one question from today only. You start solving one data structure and algorithm problem from these 2 websites, one problem a day. And for ENTC students, I'll suggest that you take 1 month, because learning data structures and algorithm is not that challenging. So what you can do, you can start learning data structure and algorithm from today, and then in 1 month you'll be able to solve these practice problems on these websites. Okay. Second skill is databases. So so again, for ENTC students, you have to read books about databases. So I'll suggest don't go for multiple databases technologies. I suggest pick one like MySQL or SQL, and start going deep into that. So like even for IT and computer science students, I'll say have one database configured on your machine and try to practice the things like normalization, join, sharding, indexing. So have basic knowledges of these things. So it will help to improve your database skills. And what happen is when we are interviewing a fresher, we are looking for database skills a lot. So then this will give you an added advantage if you know database well. Then the next skill is debugging skills. So what happens is when you build a project, so you come to a scenario when there is some problem you are facing in the code, and you figure out by debugging it. So you put breakpoints, you put logs to know how is program behaving. So this skill is very important. So what happens is when you join a company, they will give you a basic training, and then they will give you some projects to work on. On those projects, they will initially give you some bugs to fix. So what will happen? You have to have debugging skills. So we judge these skills by giving you a code snippet and tell you to give us the output of that code snippet. So this is very important. So you can practice this by creating some project, put breakpoints on your ID, and try to check what are the values you are getting. Even if the code is correct, you can check the values you are getting at a particular breakpoint. Then programming languages. So again, for computer engineering and IT students, you must have worked on one programming languages as part of your curriculum, maybe Java or C++. But I'll say that add some latest technologies to your resume, like which are not part of your curriculum, like JavaScript, Scala. By JavaScript, I mean Node.js, Scala, Java. So whatever you don't have as part of your curriculum. And for ENTC students, what I'll say, you start programming from maybe any easier languages. Like JavaScript is very easy to learn. So you can start from JavaScript, and then once you are comfortable with JavaScript, you can start coding in Scala. So this is how you can add programming languages to your resume. And you should also know the difference. So suppose you have written 3 programming languages on your resume, you should know the difference between those languages. What are the advantages of those languages? What are the disadvantages of those languages? How can you achieve a particular thing in a language better than other? Okay, so for example, in Java you can achieve multi-threading. Okay, in C++ you can't, right? So those things you have to know. Then try to do at least one small project in each language you have written in the resume. So by small project, I don't mean you do Hello World and you write it on your resume. By small project, I mean you put at least 1 month in that project to build that project. So at least have a CRUD operation, create, read, update, delete operations on that project. Then the next skill is programming paradigms. So as IT and computer science students will be knowing that one paradigm which is part of their curriculum is object-oriented programming. Apart from that, the technologies has evolved a lot in these days. So there are multiple programming paradigms in the market, like functional programming, reactive programming, these type of things. So you start reading about them and try to, whatever data structure and algorithm problem you are solving in object-oriented programming, try to solve it using other paradigms also. functional, reactive. So it will have an added advantage because in industry has to evolve as per the programming, as per the new standards of programming. So because they have to be performant, they have to scale, they have to scale. Scale as a company, scale as a software. Okay, so that's why they keep evolving. So they want what an company wants from a fresher is they should have to give you minimum amount of training to use for you to start working. So because training is a huge cost for a company. So what sets you apart is you know the things they are planning to train you on. Again, design patterns. I have so in IT and computer science students will already have it as part of their curriculum. But for ENTC students, the brief introduction of design pattern is uh, it is for solving a problem which are occurring again and again and create a pattern around it. Like I'll give you some more detailed example in coming slides, but it is for there's some known problem which is occurring again and again, and we create an abstraction around it and name it a pattern. That is what is called design pattern. So you have to read those patterns. So these patterns are evolving day by day. There are new patterns, there are old patterns which are outdated, which no one is using. So you have to read these things. Okay, so next, more on programming paradigm. So again, so there, if you categorize the programming paradigm, they can be categorized into two things: imperative and declarative. Imperative is part of your curriculum, like procedural programming, C, you have done. Object-oriented programming, you have done. Declarative, it's not part of your curriculum, and it's not taught in colleges. I mean, if syllabus has changed, I don't know, but till the time I was there, it is not taught in the colleges. So you have to read about them, you have to practice about them. So you can, like functional programming, so logic, mathematical programming, reactive programming. So these are the basic declarative programming paradigm which is used in the industry currently, and it is very much desired from experienced persons also. So if as a fresher you know these things, it will give you an added advantage. So more on design patterns. So I have kept a link on design patterns in the slide. I'll share this presentation with each one of you at the end of the this presentation. So it can be categorized into three basic stuff: creational patterns, which provide object creation mechanism that increase flexibility and reuse of existing code. So example is singleton, prototype. These are the patterns for creating. So what design patterns help you with? So they help you write code which is reusable, which is understandable very easily, and which is so which is small. I mean, the size is small. So these are the things design pattern will help you. So one is creational, then structurals. So structural pattern tells you how to assemble objects and classes into larger structures. So for example, there's pattern called adapter pattern, decorator pattern. I mean, IT and computer science students have already read about these things in their courses, but ENTC students have to read more about this from the website I have posted. Then there is behavioral patterns. Behavioral patterns is how the objects communicate from each other. Like they can communicate from a command, they can communicate via iterator, they can communicate via observer. These are the patterns which help the objects to communicate from one another. So I'll highly recommend that you read about these things. When you read about these things, try to implement these things in your project. and post those projects on GitHub. So when we shortlist the resume, we go to the GitHub links, we see the code, we evaluate the code on different matrices. Like for example, what is the code quality? What is the performance optimization done? How is the performance optimization done? What are the design patterns I have followed? What is the programming paradigm you have followed? So these things help us understand what all you know. So I'll recommend reading this website. It has a detailed and a descriptive description on this design patterns in detail, and it is covering almost all patterns, all design patterns which are used currently. There are some additionals, which you'll come to know when you read more about architectures and industry, how the industry is evolving as tech. So, but the basics are derived from these three. Now, the next thing is what can set you apart. So, like all the IT and computer science students, as part of their curriculum, they have done some BE project. They have some courses which they have given tests on. They have marks, but these are common for all the students. Like any other college, what make you different from other colleges? There are hundreds of colleges in Pune. What makes you different from the students of those colleges? So you have to work on those things which set you apart. I mean, so to work on that, there are some things you can work on, like working knowledge on some cutting edge technologies like Scala, Kotlin, Swift, TypeScript, Elm. These are the new technologies which are available in the market, and it is used by IT companies a lot. So it will give you an advantage over others, that you know these stuffs already. And if there is a vacancy on those technologies, they'll prefer you over other student. Even if your marks are lesser than other students, that doesn't matter. You know that technology, so they don't have to train you. So it sets you apart if you know different latest technologies. Then working knowledge on different trending programming paradigms like functional programming, reactive programming. So you can, if you have working knowledge, the company is trying to avoid their training cost, reduce their training cost. So if you know these, they know that their training cost will be lesser if they hire you. So try to read about these things. Try to practice these things in some of your project. An application you have built as a project which you can demo in your interview. Like you can have a live application, have a link to your demo in your resume, or you have, suppose you have an app, have it installed on your phone, and during interview, while your introduction, you show the interviewer that you have built this app. So it will help you drive the interview. So the interviewer will ask you questions around that app which you have built. So then open source contributions like GitHub profile I was saying. So there are simple libraries in the market which have some open issues. Like for example, one basic library is Moment.js, Moment library, which does nothing. It creates a time formatting. So it gives you a utility for format your time based on your time zone, based on your format. It is a basic library, but there are some open issues on those libraries. You can go through those issues, create a PR pull request to fix those issues. If your pull request get approved, you will be contributor to that library, and it will give you an added advantage over others. And the must is having a GitHub profile, and whatever you are coding, whatever you are practicing, put it on GitHub. Then certification and courses. So as per your interest, you can do courses on some language, some databases, some technologies like DevOps, like Docker, Kubernetes. you can get certification on these things, and it will have an added advantage on your resume that you know this stuff. And if companies are hiring for that technology, they'll straightly think about putting you in a team which is working on those stuff. So these are some things which you can do, and you can practice. Do anyone have any questions till now? I mean, let's do this session an interactive session, because whatever I'm saying, does it make sense to you guys?
Of course, Amit, definitely. So we can have, once you're done with your presentation, we'll have the question answer session
Okay.
wherein students will start posting the questions in the chat box, and then you can answer them one by one.
Okay. Okay. Then I have so
Are you
what?
done?
No,
Are you done with all your slides?
there's the last slide. So as I said that you should do some side project which is not part of your curriculum. What I have created a list of side projects you can do, and which you can demo during your interviews. Like create an app for clicking pictures of your notes, and create a group in the app and share it with everyone in the group. Allow only college email IDs to sign up. So this problem you are solving by creating a group on WhatsApp, and you are sharing your notes on WhatsApp. But I'll suggest you create an app for yourself, for your group, and you share your notes using that app. So this will so suppose you build this app, your interview will go around this app. What are the database you have used? How have you stored the notes? Have you used any cloud? So these will be the questions. So like create a expense manager app, like Splitwise, like what are you spending on? Suppose you want to split your whatever you are paying in a hotel, you want to split it with your friends. So create an app like Splitwise for that. Like and create a social media platform for only college students. Scheduling an appointment for doctors, for barbers, create some app for that. So what I'm saying, that these are the basic apps you can build apart from your curriculum, and when you add it in your resume, so as an interview, I am going to ask you questions around those app, and I'll ask you what you have used, why you have used that, and you'll be able to answer them because you have done it yourself. So there is one more thing which I haven't added in the slide, is problem solving, which is very important. So what is problem solving? Why does it matter? So problem solving is not specific to some IT industry or any other industry. Problem solving is applicable for day-to-day work also. So for example, you go to a shop, and they don't have a weighing mass of half kg. They have a weighing mass of 1 kg and a weighing scale. What, suppose they want to give someone half kg of stuff, how they will give them, how they will weigh half kg if they don't have mass of half kg available? So it is problem solving is around you all the time. I mean, you solve problems in day-to-day life, but you have to come up with solutions very soon. I mean, suppose for the example I have given, what they can do, they can weigh 1 kg of suppose wheat, and then divide that wheat into two parts and weigh them. If they are equal, remove the half part from one scale, and you have a weighing mass of half kg. So these are the type of problems everyone is facing in their life. So you have to come up with a solution. So that's why companies ask you puzzles. They wanted to know how you are solving a particular problem which is new to you, and how you are approaching it. yeah, so if you work on these skills, you keep updated to the technologies which are available in the market. You'll I mean, it is very, everyone will get hired. I mean, it will take time, but everyone will get hired eventually. Everyone gets settled eventually. But if you don't want to struggle in these things, you start from now and start practicing reading, and give more time to practical knowledge than having a theoretical knowledge. Yeah, so I'm done. Now we can start Q&A session.
Yes, Amit, we can see certain questions. There are some questions which are posed by students on the chat box, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can start with
Yeah.
with them one by one. Thank you.
Okay, the question is, what kind of extracurricular and co-curricular skills we should prefer if you want to target MNC company with higher package? So yeah, so again, so one advice I'll give you, that don't go for a package. I mean, don't go for higher package. So because eventually down the line, if what package you have started on doesn't matter. In the end, when you switch, when you get promoted, your skill matters. So I'll say you go try to improve on the skills. So again, if you so Jasmita ma'am can tell, from our batch, certain students have started for package of 15,000 per month, but they have grown a lot because they have worked on their skills, and now they are leading some team, or they are managing some team in a big company. So I'll say focus on your skills. Try to not think about package at current point of time, because you can give start from a lower package in a startup, but eventually you can get hands-on experience on all the working parts of that company, and you have more knowledge. And when you are suppose you decided after 2 years, you decided to create to start your own startup, then the package will not matter. The experience you had there working in a startup, that matters. Or suppose you want to join another company, they will not see what is your current package, they will see what is your skill. Does that answer your question, Prachi? Okay. Again, the being an ENTC engineer, which company we should be focusing on, so that we get sure shot hit. Okay. So again, I think you should not focus on a company. So I'll say you have 1 year. I mean, 1 year from now to get a on-campus placement. So what you can do, you can start from today. You can brush up your skills. Like, suppose you don't know any programming, you start taking an online course on some programming language. Try to do hands-on practice, and then when the companies come for placement, any IT company, if you have those skills, you'll get hired. So I mean, there is no company which says that I'll hire only computer science and IT students. They say that I want to hire people with certain skills. So that's why they prefer having computer and IT students sitting there. So if you, on your resume, you you have those things which is required by a company, I think you should not focus on any particular company. But if you want to work on some ENTC company, so there will be a couple of companies which will be coming in our campus. Maybe Jasmita ma'am, is NVIDIA still coming?
No, currently NVIDIA is not hiring freshers.
Okay. Yeah. So
But we had companies like Veritas hiring, Indus Valley Partner hiring. So we have plenty of product development companies now coming in the beginning.
Yeah.
So this year, COVID has completely changed the entire.
Yeah.
It's affected everything. So we cannot say now how things will run, but we ensure that students are first provided with product development offers.
Yeah.
Post that, we open the service sector.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'll say that you start focusing on one programming language and try to learn that language and then practice on that. So since suppose this will take 2-3 months for you to learn, and then you start giving interviews, and after that you can go deep into each of these topics. So I'll say divide your curriculum into basic, intermediate and advanced. So try to finish basic first, then intermediate, and then advanced. If we have done a project on database, but we have very little knowledge just related to our project, so should we add database as our skill in resume? So yeah, so if you have done a database, you have done a project which have database, you should know whatever you have used. I mean, you should add it in your resume because you have used that database. But whatever you have used in the project, so suppose if I say, so show me your GitHub profile where you have kept this project. If I see for 2 minutes, and if I ask you a question on that, you should be able to answer that. Okay. What is most preferred, jack of all tech or master of one? A master of one is preferred, but the master should be in latest technologies. But suppose if you're mastering, for example, I'll take an example from your curriculum. So suppose you are mastering 8081 processor or DOS operating system, it will not make sense for the company. So you have to master whatever is required in the market. So for example, I'll give one more example. So suppose you are mastering front-end development. That's fine. You can say I am interested in front-end development. I only know JavaScript, TypeScript, HTML, CSS, and I don't know about databases. I don't know about backend technologies. That's fine, but it should be relevant. Whatever you're mastering should be relevant. Suppose you can say I'm mastering database. So you can know everything about a database. You don't have to know backend programming and front-end programming. So that mastering is preferred, but you can. But if you're mastering one thing, you can pick some. You should pick something which is relevant to the market right now. If we want to work on new techs like data analysis, ML, blockchain as a fresher, what steps to take? Yeah. So again, if you want to work on data analysis, data science, ML, blockchain, the basic steps is you should be good at your basic programming skills. You should be good at mathematics, and then you can read about these things. Start checking out the code which others have written. Try to debug them. Try how it is working. So for example, for one project you can get from easily from this thing is object detection from GitHub or from any open source project. You can get object detection. You take that project, set up it on your machine, and try to change that project with something you require. For example, there's a project on object detection, and you change that project to detect objects which are only green in color. So start from there, and then eventually when you debug, you change, you'll come to know what are the things they are doing. So first read about it. I'll not say that read in detail. Read the basics and start having a practical knowledge. how to gather team of peoples to your startup while working as freelancer. Okay, so again, so right now, like you suppose you are working as a freelancer, you'll have multiple websites which on which the other freelancers are registered. So you can chat with them, and you can uh, tell them that this is your maybe not detailed idea, whatever you have, small ideas, give them a brief, and if they are interested, they can join you in your project, in your startup. Okay. For being a full stack developer, you need to be master of all technologies, or just a minute. Full stack developer, you need to be the master of one technology and basics of other technology. Yeah, that's true. So for full stack developer, you should master at least one side of development, and you should know basics of other. So for example, if you want to be a full stack developer, you can so for example, if you want to a full stack developer web, you can have master the backend, or you can master the backend, and you can have working knowledge of front end and databases. So yeah, that's true. For product companies, problem solving skills, that is algorithm and data structures, is most important, as most round are based on that. So should we improve these skills or learn new technologies? Yeah, so to answer that, that's true. For product companies, algorithm and data structures and problem solving skills are more important. So that's why I said uh, you should practice at least one problem a day. Try to solve one problem a day, and remaining time you can give to learn more technologies, because new technologies will give you added advantage. Okay. Okay, if you know only one programming language and only one database language, it is sufficient to get into the company. Yes, it is. So, but if you know only one, so why I'm saying learn multiple? Because suppose you learn, you know Python and MySQL, and other person has Python, Scala, MySQL, and MongoDB. So what is happening is, when we are interviewing you, we will take your interview in Python. But suppose company is not working on Python in any project, and other person has worked on Scala, so it can give them added advantage. So I'll say that Python is very good language. You can start getting I mean, you can start creating GitHub projects from that. But down the line, if you're looking at the period of 1 year, you can learn at least two languages latest, which is I mean, trending in the market. Which technology should I use to develop Android apps? I mean, Kotlin, for Android apps, Kotlin, and for I mean, hybrid apps, which are uh, which is for multiple platforms, you can use Flutter. So if you want to if you want to be a Android developer, you should learn Kotlin. But suppose you want to be a full stack developer, then I'll say instead of learning um, Kotlin, you can learn Flutter and build small app and focus on backend more. Okay. For an ENTC student, what to prefer, core on IT? This is the it's your decision actually. So whatever makes you happier. So I know certain people who started their career as core ENTC, started their career in core ENTC company, but after 2-3 years they felt that they are not feeling happy there, so they switched to IT company. No, it will not make any adverse effect. whatever you feel happy in. I mean, like it's um, it's as per your choice. So suppose you decided that you want to work in a IT company. If you're happy, then it is fine. You'll grow there if you're happy. If you're not happy in what you are doing, then you will not be happy. If I tell you that you go for IT and you don't like IT, you'll not be happy there and you'll not grow. It will not make any adverse effect on your career. People with civil engineering, electrical engineering are well known personality in IT world. Okay. Anything else? If there is any counter question, you can post like Tushar. Did you get my point about learning multiple languages?
So I think most of the students have asked you the questions, and we have completed all the questions in the chat box. Am I right, Amit?
Yeah.
So I think we have been sharing this with our students, and I'm sure you will probably connect that as a student. Even we had shared these basic concerns with you at that point of time.
Yeah.
But then the advantage now this batch has is people like you, alumni like you, and plenty of other industry experts. So we organize such sessions twice in a week now.
Yeah.
Basically now everything happening virtually, it's very important for the students for this batch to understand that yes, you have to be master of one technology, no doubt about it, but you should be adaptable to change to another technology in case the industry wants or the demand is there, because only then you will be able to survive.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you master one thing now, so the core the core principles are same. So so suppose I am working on a technology Node.js, and suppose I want to switch to another technology, it will take maximum 15 days for me because the basics are same.
Over to you, Khatri sir. Anything from your end so that we widen up the session otherwise?
I think one more question has came from Tushar Kukreja. Any tips for virtual interview?
Yeah, so actually virtual interview are same as in-person interview. There is no difference. So there will be a coding round on which you'll be sharing your screen and you'll be typing instead of writing on paper. So I think brush up your skills and try but the disadvantage it gives that suppose you are giving a interview in person and you are writing on paper, I cannot compile your code. So you can suppose you have a bug in your code, I can miss it. But if you are writing on the on code on an IDE, I can tell you to run with different inputs. So I mean, you need more practice for giving a virtual interview than on paper.
Amit, I would like to add here. One of there are advantages and disadvantages of virtual interview, but one of the, I would say, advantage of this interview is that you should be, if your convincing power is good, your communication is good, and you're able to convince the recruiter that yes, you are the person whom they are looking for. It's easier.
Yeah. So there is one part of your interview. So as all of you will be giving your interview for first time, any interview for first time, you'll be nervous. When you are giving an interview in person, you'll be more nervous because you're sitting in front of three people and you're looking at their faces. But in virtual interview, you can avoid to look at their faces and you'll not get nervous.
Okay, over to you, Hiresh sir, for vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Amit, and thank you so much, Jasmita ma'am, for coordinating the entire event with us. And I personally thank Amit to give such a wonderful insights about the technical skills which is required into the industry. along with, I thank all the students also for their patient listening and be into the session and ask the genuine questions. And once again, thanks from Dr. D.Y. Patil Educational Complex. And we will be looking forward for such more sessions and such interactions with you and with your organization. So I would request all these students, let's have a quick virtual selfie. All these students, please switch on your camera so that we can have a virtual selfie. Guys, still I'm not able to see your cameras. Please switch on your cameras.
Eraser done?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. And with this, I call this session as the end of the session. Thank you so much once again.
Just
Yeah,
one minute, I'll add a link to this presentation in the chat, and everyone can, I mean, open it or save it. If there are links to some articles which you can refer, and in case I'll also add my email ID. In case anyone have any further question, they can email me, and I'll be happy to reply. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much, Amit. Thank you so much, students, and thanks, ma'am.
Bye.